Alright, g'day guys, out at the airfield, hope you can hear me okay with the wind. Sun's out, guns out, very quiet out here. So my name's Scott Matthews, I'm building an Aussie cruiser, a Zenith CH750 cruiser. Thanks to the new guys that have signed up, if you like, watching the channel. Finished painting, and here's how I did it. Alright guys, I've just been over to, I've got a mechanic shop, that's the back of it just there. It's great having them on the airfield. Walk over there, I just got a handful of washers. I needed 4 washers. So it's good having, you know, that on tap. You can just got a sign up sheet there. I owe them $2.50 I think I owe them for 4 washers. But it's really handy just to get the job done. Just heading back, so the runway's just there. My hangar just there with the Prado at the front. Very quiet out here at the moment. If you've been watching the news, you understand why. Everyone's out buying toilet paper. Won't go into that too much. It probably raises more questions than it answers. So I'll do a walk around one day out of our, well, I think it's fantastic, my home airfield here in Latrobe Valley. There's plenty of gems down the other end there. What's there? There's a Sabre. There's a Windshield, Mustang, Vampire, Dakota DC-3. Some of these hangars here, we're big on the Jabiroos, obviously, Jabiru aircraft. There's probably 12, 14 of those on the airfield. Over the back there you got the Microlight Club, or the ultralights, you know, the hang gliders with the engine on. And down further you got the parachute guys, all get involved there. There are a couple of gliders on the airfield. Corby Starlets, there's a couple in the hangars here. The Aero Club operating, I don't know, Cessnas. And Oshkosh, do the Cessnas now go to the vintage area? Not sure, it'd be interesting, they're pretty old. The Aero Club's running the Cessnas and a Technam. What else we got? There's a Pete and Pole I've got my eyes on in a hangar down here. Also a Flybaby. Plenty of good stuff. There's a gentleman over here opposite me that's got a Piper J3 Cub and a couple of Avros, not an Avro 504, but the Avro biplanes. The name escapes me at the moment. He's got one flying, building another, and he's got enough spares in there, I reckon, for another 1.5 aeroplanes. He's also got a fully chromed, polished up, like a Cessna 140 type tail dragger looking thing. There's a couple of Zeniths on the airfield already. There's a scratch built, the low wing CH601 or 650. There's a recently purchased in the Flying Club's hangar just over here, another 650, done up really nicely. So there's plenty of activity on the airfield usually, but at the moment very quiet. Also the aerobatic boys, you got Paul Andronicu, he's up there, he's got a magnificent extra 330, don't quote me on that, one of the extra variants, beautiful looking aeroplane. There's a Laser 200, which old school type aerobatic aircraft, which I was going to do a model of at one stage. A couple of biplanes. There's a Pit Special that's dressed up as a Christian Eagle. It's kicking around somewhere. There's also a Christian Eagle in the proper, the typical Christian Eagle colour scheme. So those guys are usually flying aerobatics out here as well. But we'll get in the hangar and let's see where we're up to. Okay, she's looking better day by day, and couldn't help myself. We're in the process of packing up my paint equipment, put most of the gear away, because I work by myself most of the time, and the predicament we're in at the moment, I need some help to move my wing. So I've even cut the floor. I'm doing renovations at home, so I've got a big dumpster out the front, so I want to take advantage of most of that. Just left the roof up. Got a couple of more lights to pull down from up in the roof here. But this tent did a fantastic job. I think I had 14 point something hours on the turbine sprayer, so you could probably double or triple that in preparation. So it ran for 14 hours to actually spray the aircraft. So what are we on, left hand wing? Really happy, couldn't ask for more with these. So the second one went a lot better than the first, like most things. There you go. One wing and the other wing. Also got my flaperons. We'll get into this later. I painted up my head knockers or donkey dicks, so they should stand out nicely. I'm going to run a bead of silicon just to fill the void around here, and I'll get into it later. I've got holes in the back and brought in my fishing sinkers to balance those up. Doors ready to go. That's where we're at. Rudder rigging. So I made up a template. Let's pull these up. So I got my cardboard on there just so I don't scratch my pretty girl, and did my, with the stainless steel rivets, put my rudder stops on. I won't remove the rudder yet because I've just rigged these cables. Crimped those cables in situ once I had my nose wheel and rudder pedals clamped, and got my heat shrink on there. Cut the cable no more than 10mm hanging out as per the Zenith building standards. Probably hanging myself out here for criticism, congratulations or discussion. So anyway, that's the way I've done it. Just about to tension those up, 30 foot-pounds plus or minus 5 I believe, and we'll lock wire those. I made up a block. All I did, a couple of bits of 2B1, 2 screws so that it can flex, and basically wedged it in there. Because this is tapered, you can sort of, and these pivot, it sort of self-tightens. Worked really well to hold the rudder at neutral while I wound my turnbuckles out. So I started with 3 threads out because the cable's not going to get any longer, I don't believe. And you can go a maximum of, so 3 threads out, you go a maximum of 4 threads in. So you've got a total of 7 threads now just to get your 30 foot-pounds on both sides. Crimping those in situ was, yeah, a bit of a, you know, you only get one shot at these ones, because if you bugger that up, you need to replace the whole cable, I guess, or work out how you're going to, I don't know if you can buy longer turnbuckles, but you'd be in a bit of a bind. Just going to work out now, just for peace of mind, I ran that bit of brake line on the outside. I'm not sure if I might put in a P-clamp there, just to stop this disappearing inside the fuselage. If I had my time again, I'd probably, for those that are building the fuselage, probably think about this while you can get in there before you put the top fuselage skin on or something like that. Make allowances for this sort of stuff. That can obviously push back in a little bit if need be. Also from Aircraft Spruce, I got my cable tensiometer or tension meter, which just hangs onto the cable, and torque it up to, in this instance, 30 foot-pounds we're aiming for. It's also, I remember back in my Air Force days, got to be about 6 inches from any sort of connections. So I'll start with it here, then I'll jump up inside in the hellhole, as everyone calls it, and do the cables away from everything else. Also got my registration number on, nice sticker, went down well. Interesting there, I used the heat gun and it went around the rivets really nice. Just gentle heat, and use like a paddle pop stick to just rub them down. Beautiful. If you haven't picked up on it, I like to finish each job as I go, rather than have jobs. You've got to multitask and have several jobs on the go at one time. But I like to try and finish. So I've finished the elevator, that whole system's complete. The rudder, now I need to finish this. It's sort of, I haven't solved the issue. So the issue is, now that I've hooked the cables up, I only get 14 degrees travel. So the nose wheel steering is hitting on that black V block, I'm pretty sure, at the front. Either that or the jam nut on the eye end is hitting the firewall. I think it's a case of both. So today I'm going to rip the cowl off and take away some of the V block. That's a good, in my opinion, a good rudder stop down there, a bit better than what's at the back here. So if they can both contact at the same time, that'd be great. I'm hoping 1/8 of an inch or so down there gives me 1 or 2 degrees back here at the trailing edge of the rudder. So that's the job for today. What's that? Wouldn't mind having a crack at building your own Zenith aircraft. So if you're in Australia, best person to call, James Fisher. Fish, if you're watching, whack a link down below. He's at Swish Projects. I'll put the website below, or Fish will, one of us will. Get hold of him. He looks after everything from, you know, he'll sort everything out. You just throw him the money and the kit will arrive at your door. I think he's actually out now driving around the countryside, delivering Zenith kits that come over in a batch. I got mine on its own, so you cop the full whack, I guess, but if you can tee it up with a few others. Anyway, he'll talk to you all about that. Get hold of James Fisher at Swish Projects. Alright, my sexy cowl. Now before I take the cowl off, there's a couple of things I want to do. I pulled the rubber off my air intakes, so I'm going to run some aluminium tape, just so from there to let me know when the cowl disappears, where the cowl stops and starts. So then I can run my rubber sort of a 1/4 inch past. So that's one job I'm going to do before I take the cowl off again. It was hitting and wasn't happy with the job. I started trimming the rubber and then the rubber ended up going all over the shop. So one of those things, a bit of self-discipline, no, it can be nicer, so we'll do it that way. Also the down underneath, once again all the shops in town are closed, out buying toilet paper. The exhaust is just a little bit too close for my liking to the cowl, so I want to take it to the exhaust shop and just get that, probably the last 2 inches bent down, say 30 degrees, just to give me clearance from the back here. I don't want to cut the cowl too much. It looks nice at the moment, it's just a little bit too neat. That's just the stock muffler from Jabiru. Or I don't want to put a fitting on there because it's something to monitor and can wobble and break, and with all that heat, 650 degrees, whatever comes out the back there. So that's where we're at with the muffler. So what I think I'll do there, I'll just mark where the cowl sits at the moment. Because it comes out on a funny angle, then I know where I want the 90 degree, or the 90 degrees to sort of start. I don't want a 90 degree bend, but where to put it into their contraption, their tube bender, to bend it. Okay, rudder against the stop. Disconnect the pedals pretty much. I've shaved the back edge of the black V block, full extension. Now the issue is, with this slide, it doesn't move in far enough. Now I've got the Skytech arm with the eye end in there. So what I'm going to do is pull this plate off and just notch this out a bit more. Just so the arm needs to go closer to the strut to give me full travel. We'll see how that goes. So taking that plate out, this is this way, and I'm just going to, if you see that line there, just going to sneak that off, and I'll do the same on the firewall, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, all going well. Plugging away at it. A lot of people ask about the model aeroplanes as well, I guess. Bit of a plug for Joe's RC. If you like model aeroplanes and aviation, he's building a Cruzer, I believe, might be a 750, a similar aircraft. And he's into the model aeroplanes as well. So have a look at Joe's RC if you're stuck at home in COVID and want something to watch. I may have shown this before, but just an old coat hanger, and that works really well, especially on the cable-to-cable ones, just to hold the turnbuckle while you tweak up the barrel. Just a bent bit of wire. I put a string on there just so I don't leave it in the aircraft. Yes, I crimped all my own cables from Aircraft Spruce. I've got those crimpers for 1/8 galvanised cable, or 1/8 cable. Also got this guy, which sort of works okay if you're on the bench in the vice. So, you know, trying to do that in the wheel well or somewhere, in the footwell, is a bit hard. And of course my go, no-go gauge, which is this one here, which simply lets you know when you, it'll go on, so you know you've crimped it enough. So in preparation for fitting the wings, I like to just make things up so that I'm ready to go. So I've got my wing forward spar, wing rear spar, strut top, strut bottom, You can see I need 4 washers there, the part number written on there. I've worked out, you know, I need 1 washer on these for argument's sake, which will go under the nut. And the bottom of the strut, I need a washer each side, so 1 under the head, 1 under the bolt. So hopefully I get it right first time. That's the benefit, I guess. I've already had the wings on once, but you can do that prior to installing the wings. Also, just, you know, I've written my spanner sizes. So these bolts are a bit peculiar, I guess. 5/8 bolt head with 11/16 nuts on the back. So when I do have the guys here, I just make up a little tool bag, race around. Also have my soft compothane hammer, the persuader, and then all going to plan. I'm not tying up guys for too long. I do tend to work by myself most of the time, so when I've got guys here, I like to be organised. Okay, 20 degrees rudder, left and right, 40 degrees total. What did I do? Well, I bought these Skytech plates with the eye end in them. You notice how thick they are? That makes a difference. And the Zenith plates that go on the front here. So now those plates, a bit hard to film here, sit up in there if you're familiar with the Zenith. So what I had to do was cut the back of the V-block, just with an X-Acto blade, just that 1/4 inch of the corner came off, so that this fork, if you like, can go back. But then the issue I had is the jam nut hits that eye end that's on the bench back there. Even now it comes very close to the firewall with everything removed. So my thinking there was just get everything out of the road, primary flight control being the rudder, got my 20 degrees, so it now hits nicely, took a couple of goes, hits the black Teflon, which is flush with the aluminium aircraft, what's that, like a C channel that the strut sits in. So this fork stops at the front and my 20 degree stop at the back hits at the same time. So got the perfect geometry there, if you like. Adjusting the length of the rods, all that adjusts is the, obviously your pedals have to stay parallel, it just adjusts the fore and aft position of your pedals. You can also cheat a bit and one eye end adjustment on both eye ends, bring the pedals forward, and that'll bring your cables, you know, the lazy man's way of doing the cables. If they're already lock wired, you don't have to upset the lock wires. Just adjusting those 2 eye ends will get your cable tension back to 30 pounds plus or minus 5. So that's what I've gone with at the moment. Happy with that, got the rudder working, I can do it on the ground. I've got my bit of carpet upside down, it skids really well on my perfect floor. So going well, I want to lift the aircraft up to get it into flying mode. So the strut's going to drop down. Let me know what you think, but when you take off, you might hear the strut just go clunk, just that 1/2 inch, or it's up about 6 mil, 1/4 inch. But it does actually sort of clunk as it drops back down. Same as when you land, it'll probably just take up the slack. Let me know, any guys out there that are flying them, whether the strut actually just sort of falls. Well, I know it does, because when I pick up the front, the nose of the aircraft, the strut drops down into the V-block. And you need it loose like that so you can steer it on the ground. So there we go. The offshoot of that is now I've got this gaping big hole in my firewall where I'm thinking I'll just run some like rubber curtains to stop the CO2 or the carbon dioxide going into the fuselage. I just wanted to get the rudder right first, which I've achieved that. The secondary problem now is sealing up the firewall because I don't like the system that was there. Well, I like the system that was there, but I couldn't get it to work. The jam nut hits up against the eye end in those sliding plates. I mucked around, I adjusted the plates, I took a bit off, made the holes a bit longer. That's the other issue, I guess, is the rod and the eye end. As you go to full lock, obviously the rods want to both come inboard slightly. You're narrowing the 2 parallel push rods are actually narrowing as that turns. So having that sort of too perfect wouldn't allow them to come in. You're only talking 1/8 of an inch maybe. And what I found here is that 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch I took off the V-block gave me about an extra 2 inches at the trailing edge up there, which gives me my full travel. That's where we're at. Going well, having fun. We'll forge ahead. Thanks for watching this one.